right, here we go. Aries Spears, welcome back to VladTV.
Uh-huh. What's good, man?
Oh, man. A lot going on right now.
Yes.
A lot going on right now. We're going to start off with the Dwyane Wade statue.
Ah! That monstrosity! And you know what I didn't know? He approved it.
No.
No,
But during the speech, he said, who is that guy?
But he meant it in a kind of way like, oh my God, look, it's me. Oh my God, who is that guy?
That's what it sounded like.
I know, but he
It sounded like that don't look like me.
He approved it. He approved it. You know, I said in a joke, I said, relax, folks. I know it don't look like him, but the statue is transitioning.
I mean, it does kind of look more...
You got it, right?
Yeah, no, I got it. I got it, no, because of his son, his trans daughter, however you want to say it, is trans, right? It looks like Morpheus.
I've heard Morpheus, which I could see. George Floyd. It resembles a little bit of George Floyd.
I don't know.
A little bit.
No, I mean, totally different nose and stuff.
I mean, none of it is Dwyane Wade, so it could be you. That could be you.
Well, here's the thing, right? Sometimes you have to see it in the context of it all. So someone actually created a photo that shows the context. You want to see it?
I've seen it, yes.
Here we go.
Oh, yeah, I saw it. It's terrible. That is terrible. Jesus.
When you see it with LeBron and Bosh?
And it looks nothing like
It actually looks even worse.
If somebody would have just take the head without the body and the Heat jersey and go, who's this? There's no way you guess that's Dwyane Wade.
No. No, it kind of looks like a old man, kind of.
It looks horrible.
It just doesn't even look like him at all.
Not at all.
At all.
And I know where they're getting it from because he's done that many a times where he'll score or do a major play and he jumps up on the scorer's table and he goes, this my house, which is why they inscripted it on the bottom of the statue. That's him when he's going, this is my house. But listen, I was a huge Dwyane Wade fan when even before, when Shaq went to the Heat is when I discovered D Wade. And then of course when LeBron went there, I was already solidified as a Dwyane Wade fan. So I like me some D Wade, man, and I've seen him in action. That ain't him.
No. And there's a string of really bad depictions of athletes. Ronaldo, I don't know if you saw his statue, but that was absolutely horrible.
I've seen all the basketball ones.
Let me show you.
Yeah, that's not good either. Nah, that's not good either. That looked like a high school principal pervert.
But I think they actually fixed the Ronaldo statue.
Did they?
They did. They did.
They need to fix D Wade.
Yeah, that shit is horrible.
Yeah, it's a monstrosity.
That shit is absolutely horrible. You made some comments about Angel Reese.
Yeah.
You called her garbage compared to Caitlin Clark.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Explain.
Listen, man, and again, I will emphasize this every day of the week, twice on Sunday. I love my people. I love black people. Mwah, 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 mwah. But I think sometimes we do play the race card too much, or when it's not necessary, because everybody's trying to make this about a, come on, black man, protect the sisters, brother. This ain't racial. This is about sports. This is about athletic ability. You know what I'm saying? And when you look at Caitlin Clark's game, who's very reminiscent of a Steph Curry based on her range and shooting the three, plus everything else she does. And then you look at Angel Reese, stop it. Stop it. There's a dude on the internet who cracks me up, or on TikTok. He's put together a shitload of Angel Reese clips, and it'll say Angel Reese part 36. And it goes, Angel Reese going up for another layup. She misses, bang! And I mean, dude, it's the funniest shit. And my whole thing is this, dude. She just seems as uncoordinated as a baby giraffe. Yeah, I mean, come on, man. It's like people go, well, she averages the league in most rebounds and double-doubles. It's like, listen, if you throw up 85 attempts, you're eventually going to get one or two. But the fact that you have to throw the ball up 85 times is fucking ridiculous. Listen, if you crawl on your stomach long enough, you'll reach your destination. And she's crawling on her stomach to get to her journey. And she gets there, but it's a slow crawl.
Okay.
So everything ain't fucking racial, man. Stop trying to make it racial. It's about sports ability. And she's garbage in terms of coordination.
I mean, you actually watch WNBA games?
I don't have to. I see the clips.
Okay.
I see the highlights.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Because the WNBA, even with all the hype, I think is still losing something like $50 million a year.
Listen, they just showed where the New York Liberty had their victory parade. You'd have thought that parade was sponsored by COVID. There was no one on the streets. No one.
Sponsored by COVID.
It's terrible, man.
Yeah, I mean, look, you could argue and say it's unfair, they're not getting paid enough, but ultimately, if people aren't watching and people aren't going to the games, you can't just create money out of nowhere.
The product in comparison to the men's product. You know, the NBA just started back up. I think they're probably like 2 games in now for the season. Mm-hmm. And I was watching Inside the NBA on TNT, and they were showing the Mavs versus the Spurs. And I mean, just the coordination between Luka with a no-look, over-the-shoulder back pass to Klay Thompson with a defender in his face, knocking down a 3. The game is night and day. The moves, the ability, it's night and day. The women's product is inferior.
Yeah? Well, Shaq recently did a podcast with Angel Reese, and he suggested that WNBA players wear shorter shorts on the court.
I take it a step further than that. I say thongs, shirtless, and heels. I'll watch.
So basically strip clubs
Come
with
on,
a basketball.
Man. Give us a reason. And the feminists aren't sticking with it. So fuck it. If the feminists aren't going to stand behind they shit, well then don't tell me I got no say and what would bring me to the game.
Yeah, I was wondering recently, are there any WNBA players?
Some of them WNBA girls' dicks is bigger than mine.
That's not what I was going to ask. But that's an interesting observation. What I was wondering was, are there any WNBA players with BBLs?
I haven't seen any. I haven't seen any.
Well, there is a girl, though. There is a girl named Jada Thorpe. Boom.
But that don't look like a BBL.
It's not a BBL. She's just thick.
Yeah, the ass matches the thighs.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. But, you know, when you look at her IG, which I did for research purposes, of course, there's a lot of, like, thong pics and her ass cheeks are out and everything else like that. I'm not mad at this. I mean,
You're
it's
not
interesting.
supposed to be.
It's interesting how the girls are now embracing like the Instagram model thing and so forth.
Well, they also may have to as a means to make more income.
True.
As Angel Reese said that the WNBA salary don't even cover her bills.
Yeah, it's like
she could barely pay her $8,000 rent.
Right, because she gets like $70,000 a year or something like that.
Right. And to all you motherfuckers in the comments that was talking shit when I posted to go, Angel Reese makes more than you. No, she don't.
Well, maybe with all the
what, endorsements?
The endorsements, yeah.
No, she don't.
Doesn't she have like a Reebok deal?
Who the fuck still wears Reebok?
Hold on.
Reebok is right there with British Knights.
Reebok, yeah.
Okay.
Still a major company.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind a
she
Reebok
don't.
deal.
Huh?
I wouldn't mind a Reebok deal.
Okay, I mean, but you already rich.
Could be richer.
I'm not gonna argue that. You know, I'm just saying, like, look, man, when you really look at it from an athlete, and we're men, we're gladiators. You know, we know when we go see a sport, we want to see it at its highest level. Who's the female version of Shaq? Who's the female version of AI, breaks ankles like that? Who's the female version of Michael Jordan that flies through the sky and is poetry and motion and body control? Who's the female version of Larry Bird or Dominique Wilkins? They just they and it's okay. It's not chauvinistic. Women, just like we can't do certain things that women do best, women have to accept that they can't do certain things that we do best. That's just biology.
Yeah, I remember when I interviewed Marcellus Wiley recently. Well, not recently, but some months back. And he was a former professional NFL player. And I asked him about whether women in certain sports could potentially play with men. He goes, absolutely not. He goes, for example, the fastest female runner ever, FloJo, is slower than the fastest high school male runner ever.
Right. It is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, Jesus, why do we have to force everything? We have to be equal. We weren't designed to be equal.
Well, there was a Trump rally recently, and Tony Hinchcliffe called Puerto Rico an island of floating garbage.
Yeah, and so
he also referred to black people carving watermelons for Halloween.
Halloween, yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm right now, I reposted that.
Yeah, I saw it.
I'm Scarface, balcony scene. I'm reloaded. I'm shooting 1,000 Colombians right now. They're coming for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think of those comments? I mean,
Listen,
Trump didn't make himself, but it was someone at his rally.
Here's what I said, and the feedback that I kept getting from a lot of people was, oh, a comedian condemning a comedian for being a comedian? How cringe. I swear to God, it perplexes me. You stupid cocksuckers. Like, I have to cut up your meat for you to eat, like when your mother did for you when you was a child. Like, why do I have to explain this? There is a place and a time. If it's a roast, if it's a theater, if it's a comedy club, I'm the last person that would ever put limits on comedy. Comedy should be as free as a bird. But there's a place and time. A political rally where a good majority of Trump's base indulge in racist and violent rhetoric, that's not the gasoline you want to put on that fire. It's already dangerous. So to sit up there with that kind of rhetoric and that kind of verbiage is fucking ridiculous. If that's the case, let's start telling jokes at funerals. If that's the case, all those people
do say jokes at funerals.
But here's the difference.
Yeah.
When you are at a funeral, it's kind of like throwaway, tongue-in-cheek jokes, inside jokes to bring some levity to a heavy situation. But I'm talking about, let me roll up to your dead mother's funeral with a mic and a stool and do an hour's set of distasteful, inappropriate death jokes. Are we laughing then?
Well, to be fair, I had Donnell Rollins on my show not too long ago, and he actually shot the idea to Dave Chappelle.
And what did Dave do?
Hold on.
We talked about this.
We talked about this, right. He actually wanted to do a skit because Charlie Murphy had died.
Right.
You know, Charlie Murphy played the hater in
Right.
that one hater skit. So they wanted to do a skit at Charlie Murphy's funeral where they basically diss him at the funeral.
Yes.
Dave Chappelle said, I'll think about it.
And then shut it down, said no.
Didn't do it, yeah.
The greatest, the GOAT said no. But here's where I'm at with that.
They could have done that.
No.
It would have been funny.
I'm about to say.
Would have been funny.
I got 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Because the difference, again, we talking about a television show, a sketch show in particular, which whole purpose is to entertain you. So if it's about entertainment in its proper form, it's hard for me to be against that. But again, when you look at the genius that is Dave Chappelle, I kind of also can see where he's coming from out of the respect for Eddie's family. You know what I'm saying?
Charlie's family. Well, yeah,
Eddie's
same
family.
Sorry, same
That's
family.
his brother.
Yeah, you're right.
So
family. Yeah.
I'm kind of both ways with that.
Yeah, look, you're right. It's a Trump rally. And, but on the other side, Megan Thee Stallion showed up to a Kamala Harris rally and twerked.
The only thing you leaving with at a Megan Stallion at your rally is an erection. That's it. You go to a Trump rally, shit is liable to pop off. January 6th just entered the chat. Trump shit leads to shit.
Yeah.
You go see Megan Thee Stallion, yeah. You see Megan Thee Stallion at a fucking Democratic rally and she's twerking, you did get hard. What's the harm in that? You motherfucking Republicans.
I mean, but don't you think it's a little inappropriate at a presidential rally to be twerking on stage?
It might be, but nobody's getting hurt.
Okay.
At Trump's functions, people get hurt.
Okay, but no one got hurt from those racist comments.
Okay, this time.
Okay.
This time.
You think someone's really gonna act out? I don't think
I
don't think people are gonna act out. I don't think black people are gonna act out at a Trump rally. How about that? They're just too outnumbered.
Well, number one, we know better.
Yeah.
And number two, that's not in us to do that. We don't have a history of violence and mayhem when shit don't go our way. We have a history.
Hold on.
Wait a minute.
Hold on.
Wait, before you talk,
Hold
let
on.
me finish,
Okay.
right?
All right.
We have a history of reacting to violence and mayhem that's done to us. That's what we have a reaction to. We don't initiate fucking shit up just to fuck shit up. That's not in our DNA. That's not our culture. White folks don't get their way. Motherfucking shit, tables get flipped over. The Capitol gets fucking stormed. Come on, man. Stop it.
I was going to say Rodney King.
A reaction to.
Right.
A reaction to.
Well, a reaction where one person gets hurt by the police, which in turn causes billions of dollars worth of damage, other lives lost, people getting hurt, people getting arrested, people getting shot. Not exactly apples to apples. Two
great quotes. Great quotes. Martin Luther King.
Right. I know what you're about to say.
Rioting is a reaction to. Can you pull up the actual quote? Because I'm about to fuck it up.
It's to
the voices unheard.
To the voices unheard.
Yeah. Rioting is a reaction to the voices unheard.
Right.
And another
even though Martin Luther King was anti-riot, right?
Sure.
That was his platform.
No violence.
He never promoted violence, rioting, and so forth. Peaceful marches, peaceful protests,
right.
Peaceful sit-ins, and so forth.
Right. What's that, Malcolm X? By any means necessary?
Yeah, that's a little different. That's a little different.
And here's another great quote from the black community. Don't start none, won't be none. You don't fuck Rodney King up, we don't riot.
Right.
You don't fuck him up and get away with it, we don't riot.
I mean, the election's coming up pretty soon. Who do you think is going to win? It's a little dicey right now.
You know, I think the Empire Strikes Back is going to happen. I think Lord Trump is going to win this.
Yeah.
And you know what? If he doesn't, not that I, am wishing for any fallout of any kind, because I think we all need to maintain our peace and our sanity, but I'm gonna have my popcorn. Because again, you're going to see how white folks really act.
Yeah, and look, because I've been talking to Kamala Harris's media people for the last couple months, trying to lock in an interview. Ultimately, it doesn't look like we're going to do it. But I told him this morning, I'm like, look, Trump did Joe Rogan, 37 million views in a couple of days. Kamala Harris just did Club Shay Shay, 800,000 views. She did Call Me Daddy, 700,000 views. Like, she's not getting the media attention that she absolutely needs right now.
Because she's not the biggest, she's not the circus. Trump is the circus.
Right.
Listen, I'm doing a joke now where I go, I don't really want to like Trump. I've never supported Trump. I don't support Trump. But you have to admit this motherfucker is somewhat charismatic.
Yes.
And even though it might not be the best thing for the country, his shenanigans are entertaining.
Yeah, and I feel like people have softened up a little bit in terms of their stance. Like, I remember the last election, I think a lot of people, they didn't necessarily vote for Biden, they just wanted to vote against Trump.
Yes.
People went to the polls to
It
make
was
sure
the lesser
Trump,
of two evils.
Lesser of two evils.
Yeah.
They just didn't want Trump in office anymore. These days, I feel like people have kind of forgotten about the craziness.
Oh, if he wins, it's coming back.
I know it's coming back, but people forgot about it. I feel like people feel bad a little bit about how, he was getting dragged into all of these criminal trials and, his home got raided and everything else like that. I feel like people somewhat felt like he was being picked on by the government.
What people?
People
his
in general.
People?
No, I think people in general.
No, his minions.
I think
only
people in
believe
general.
That.
I think
Listen,
people in general.
If you break the law, you got to, like Denzel said.
But what happened, though? He got convicted of all these felonies.
You pray for the rain, you got to deal with the mud, too.
Okay.
And Donald Trump likes to play in the rain, so he got to deal with the mud, too.
I get it. And look, remember before when like a Steve Harvey or anyone stood next to Trump, it became this huge, cancel whatever. Now rappers, celebrities are all standing next to Trump and it's completely accepted.
Yeah, I think to some degree, and I know I'm gonna catch a lot of flack for this, it disgusts me what I see a lot of my people doing right now. Black men for Trump.
There's a lot of that.
What is wrong with you niggas?
Yeah, you said
some of y'all would be so comfortable on a plantation.
You said it seems like all the black men on the right got their tap shoes on.
Yeah, it's jazz hands time. Listen, I don't say what you will, and I don't want to get too deep politically, but I'll just say that white folks have had a history in this country of supporting their own no matter what. So I just don't see why black people, we can't have that same ability to support our own, no matter what. And all the shit about she's locked up more black men and weed and all that, that's been debunked.
Yeah, it's not true.
That's not true.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of niggas out here screaming, she don't give a fuck about black men. And you haven't even done your fucking homework. That shit has been debunked. It was 3 white men in political positions of power that were behind that, not her.
Yeah, like when she first announced her presidency, you know, the candidacy for president, when Biden stepped down, which I knew he would after that debate, there was a real like excitement and there was all this money raised and almost seemed like Obama-esque in the beginning. But since that time, I feel like it's kind of withered down and now there's no real excitement over Kamala.
I mean, the race is still tight though.
Not the same way it was when she first announced.
Yeah, but until listen, until it's over, it ain't over. You know, and listen, I would think that, and I know there are a lot of black women who do, but I would think that as a black woman, how great of a statement would it be to have a woman president? So one, you break that glass ceiling, but then it's a black woman on top of that.
Yeah.
So you accomplish 2 powerful statements at once. I would like to see that. Historically, I think that would be great.
Yeah.
So, you know, fuck it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, some people like to say, well, I don't think America's ready for a black female president right now, which to me, I don't agree with, because America wasn't ready for a black male president. The right person just came along.
At the right time.
At the right time.
Yeah.
And Kamala's interesting, but she's not Obama. She's not an Obama. Let's just keep it 100. She doesn't have the charisma.
No.
She doesn't have the magic. She doesn't have the inspiration.
Right.
You know, the whole hope thing that he pushed that people really connected to?
Yeah.
There isn't a version of this for Kamala, and she needs that in order to get that presidency. That's what I think. That's what I think. But listen, at the end of the day, polls and whatever, I mean, the first election, Trump was behind on all the polls. The ground by the pussy thing came out and everyone, okay, he's going to lose.
Right.
He wasn't preparing to win. But ultimately, look what happened. One of the top 10 rappers in the world right now, Lil Durk, is in jail facing murder for hire charges.
These stupid youngsters.
So let me give you the background, since I know you're not like up on all the hip hop, but I'll give you the background of what happened. There's 2 big rappers. There's Lil Durk and there's NBA Youngboy. Okay? They both have artists signed to them. NBA Youngboy has a rapper named Quando Rondo, and Lil Durk had a rapper named King Von. King Von was crazy, allegedly killed a whole bunch of people and so forth, beat the murders, came out, became a hot rapper. So King Von and NBA Youngboy started like a back and forth on the internet. Not exactly sure why. Some people say because he didn't get a verse from Youngboy. Other people say it was over a girl, whatever else. But a couple of years ago, about 3 years ago, King Von and Quando Rondo just happened to run into each other in a parking lot at a nightclub in Atlanta. King Von instantly started attacking Quando. Quando's guy, Lil Tim, pulled out a gun and killed King Von in self-defense. A shooting happened between off-duty cops. Another one of Von's people gets killed. A bunch of people get shot, whatever else. So this whole campaign started online where all the fans were telling Lil Durk, you need to slide for Von. Hashtag slide for Von, which means get revenge for his death. Well, according to the feds, Lil Durk put a bounty for Quando Rondo. And about 2 years ago, in 2022, according to the feds' paperwork, Lil Durk flew out a hit squad of 5 guys to LA because they found out the location of where Quando Rondo was staying. Lil Durk and his manager flew out in a private jet. The guy that Durk flew out with went and got ski masks, a bunch of guns, and they went out and followed Quando for hours until they finally got a chance at a gas station where Quando was inside the car, but his cousin, Lil Pab, goes out to pump gas. 3 guys come out in ski mask, open fire, and they kill his cousin. 2 years later, everybody gets arrested. First, the 5 guys who actually were involved in the shooting get arrested. Durk finds out about it, tries to flee the country, books 3 plane tickets, one ticket to Dubai, 1 ticket to Switzerland. He doesn't board any of those flights, but then gets a private flight to Italy. The feds find out about it. They arrest him. Now he's, held along with everyone else with no bond, and they're all facing life without prison, possibly the death penalty. All over revenge for a killing that ultimately King Von was responsible for. He went and attacked the guy without provocation. Quando didn't even have any beef with this guy. They go and kill the wrong person, and now around 6 of them, possibly more, are all facing life in prison. They're probably going to start snitching on each other, and it's going to be a mess.
Yeah, I'm 49. I don't care about this young nigga soap opera. I have no interest in this. Like I care more about the WNBA than this shit. This means nothing to me. A bunch of young kids doing young kids shit, irresponsible.
It's not really young kid shit. Lil Durk is 32.
Okay, street shit. If you had the mentality of a young child, then you're doing street shit, street kid shit.
Yeah, I mean, it does remind me a little bit of Biggie and Tupac.
Yeah.
Because when you look at it now, when you look at this whole beef, NBA YoungBoy's in jail currently. He had a gun charge, which he just pleaded guilty to, and he's got like 65 drug charges because he was calling into pharmacies trying to get pills for himself. Quando Rondo gets arrested with gang charges, which he pleads guilty to. He's awaiting sentencing, possibly getting 5 years. Lil Durk's facing life in prison. King Von is dead. Everybody loses. Everybody loses. Everyone in the beef are either in prison or dead.
Yeah, if the beginning of your name starts with Lil, Young, or Short, I'm not following you. I'm not following you. I'm sorry. You're beyond my generation. I don't follow that shit, man. I don't follow it.
I mean, why do you think, just if you take a step back, why did things escalate like that? You got a whole bunch of men.
But they're not men. They're not men. They're not thinking. Grown men ain't thinking about killing another man. They're thinking about making more money. And anything that interrupts cash flow, then you're not thinking like a man. You're thinking like a child.
Right.
That's adolescent thinking. That's adolescent behavior. But you're still caught up in ego, streets, what people think, how you perceived, and what you want to deem is, well, it's a level of disrespect. Do you respect yourself enough to not put yourself in that position? Because if you respect yourself enough to not put yourself in that position, and you're thinking about family, you're thinking about generational wealth, shit you can pass down, then you're not running the streets.
Yeah. I remember I did a poll. I said, who's the bigger dummy right now? Lil Durk or Diddy? And most people voted Lil Durk because this guy was a top 10 rapper. He's doing arenas, probably getting $500,000 a show, maybe even more. He's got features with everyone, Drake, Kanye, everyone. Everyone wants to do music with this guy. Got a bunch of kids, and he really made it out the mud. Single mom, dad was in prison, had to go through a lot, lost a lot of friends. You finally got to a point where you have generational wealth, and you throw it all away to get revenge over a guy that you knew was reckless, over a guy started it. Because at the end of the day, look, when I'm with my security, if someone just attacks me, I would expect my security to handle it violently, potentially shoot the person. That's what I would do. That's what I expect. So I know Durk is sitting in a jail cell right now going like, it probably wasn't that serious now that I think about it.
Right.
King Von kind of started the whole fight. There's repercussions to his own actions. I probably should have looked at it a little bit differently. I probably should have gotten gassed up by the fans and the slide for Von thing. Now he's probably thinking who he can tell on to try to get out of this whole situation.
Listen, man, I think I said once upon a time ago, not one of my favorite movies because I don't think it was a great adaptation, but the Tupac movie. You know, one of my favorite actors, a guy who I'm cool with, Clifton Powell, in the scene where they show Tupac in jail, and he's kind of like the OG trying to, you know, tell a young blood, hey man, don't do something in 50 seconds that can get you 50 fucking years.
Yeah.
So it's just like, you know, the fact that, again, if you're making that kind of money and you're into that kind of success and you rubbing shoulders with elite artists like yourself, the world is yours.
Yes.
So for you to not be able to separate that street shit, which can only be counterproductive, versus, all right, I'm here now. How do I grow this? How do I become bigger and better at this? Like Jay-Z said, that's why it's such a cold line. I'm not a businessman. I'm a business man. At some point, you know, you all start off coming out of the mud and slinging drugs and doing street shit. But at some point, become a business, become a brand.
Yeah. Yeah. People don't want to put responsibility where it belongs a lot of times. I understand that he lost his friend and lost his artist. Lil Durk lost King Von. But at some point, you have to say, you know, this guy kept doing reckless activities over and over again, and it just so happened that it caught up with him that one night. And although I miss him, I'm going to have to look at things realistically and say actions and repercussions. You know, if the roles were reversed, Durk's own security would have done the same thing if someone just attacked him out of the blue.
Listen, I wish to God we could have Tupac back. But he lived by it and he died by it.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
You know.
This was similar. I mean, the night that King Von got shot, it was a similar situation to Tupac. It was someone jumping on someone they should have jumped on.
Right.
And that person, you know, reacting violently in return.
Yeah.
You know, now a little bit of time passed with the Tupac situation. It happened instantly with King Von, but it's kind of the same situation.
Yeah.
And it just is what it is. And unfortunately, the more popular person gets, oh, you know, he's the victim. Oh, it's so unfair. But you got to take a step back, man. And now you have, at this point, what, maybe 7, 8 lives lost between death and life in prison?
Not to mention the ones that you were responsible for in terms of who you taking care of.
Oh, yeah.
Who's dependent on you.
Listen, Whack 100 was here the other day, and he said something interesting. He said, look, the feds are already proving that Lil Durk is using his company finances to finance crimes, flying out hitmen, putting them in hotels, paying them bounties. There's a reasonable chance they might classify Lil Durk's OTF company as a criminal enterprise and freeze all his finances. At that point, Durk is going to have problems paying his legal bills, but he might be able to borrow money from some of his friends or whatever. But all his 5 co-defendants, they're about to be on their own.
Right.
You know what happens when you're on your own without good legal representation?
Start running your mouth.
Pull out your get out of jail free card.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen. Best believe.
Listen, there's this thing where I think sometimes in our community where you feel like if you don't bring everybody up with you and take care of everybody and you disassociate yourself from certain circles, you're not real no more.
Okay.
You real, you weak, you sold out. But it's like, dude, history has shown us that unless you keep the right circle around you, that is your downfall. Not being able to say no.
I'll do you one better, because I've been thinking about this recently. If you are reasonably successful in a legal profession, there is absolutely no reason for you to keep associating with active criminals. Now, if you were a past criminal and have turned your life around, I have lots of friends like this.
Right.
Past criminals, all day long. You know, people who used to be drug dealers who did their time, who are now into podcasting and everything else like that. Even people who have killed people in the past because of certain situations, but they've turned their life around and they're now have their own business or they're working 9 to 5s. I'm totally okay with that. People deserve second chances. I have lots of people in my life that I respect, that I've had in my home, everything else like that. But if you are actively still doing crime, there is no reason for you to be around them still.
Right.
I know you feel good having this big dope boy kingpin guy around you.
Right.
But his problems are going to drag you in.
Right.
And the fact that these guys have these shooters and these street guys, these active gang members around them, this is the reason why rappers get caught up over and over again.
Yeah.
Because best believe, if Lil Durk had a bunch of regular security guys around him, they're not going to go do a hit.
Yeah.
Hey, man, we're going to slide for Vaughn. I'm going to fly you guys out to L.A. to go kill him. I'm actually Chicago PD, so I can't do any of the shit that you're talking about. In fact, if you keep talking about this, I might have to report you.
Yeah.
So
if anything,
if you want to go do this by yourself, maybe I'll look the other way.
If anything, they're gonna put you in a position where you not even have to deal with that. You know what I'm saying? Like they're gonna put you in a position where it's like they're gonna already contemplate what could be the outcome in certain circumstances. And the first rule of thumb is, like the president, get you out of there.
Yeah.
You know? And again, I think sometimes dudes that come from a street background view that as weakness.
Which is dumb.
Absolutely dumb.
Dumbest thing ever. Dumbest thing ever. Because those guys that you keep around you,
like,
look, for example, Tony Yayo talked about this. Early G-Unit days, 50 had a bunch of his goons around him. Someone would step up, do something silly, whatever. Those guys would break the guy's jaw. That's $50,000 that 50 would have to pay that guy. You do that enough times, you start realizing you can't have these guys around you. They're a liability. They're not going to pay the $50,000. 50's going to pay the $50,000.
I certainly don't want to go backwards, but I have to bring this up to adhere to my point. That's why when I caught so much flack for the Corey Holcomb thing with Zoe, it ate at my ego and it ate at me as a man, because all I would hear is, yeah, you weak, you soft, you ain't do nothing. You let that motherfucker. And again, my first thing I thought to myself was, what if this gets out of hand? What if you do something and it gets out of hand? You're the sole breadwinner for your family. You got, at that time, a wife. You got kids. You got a career. If you do something that takes you out of position to make money and have the people that depend on you be taken care of, that was smart. So you know what? Instead of handling it on some street shit, which is what the streets think is the only solution, I went, no, I'm gonna handle it through Seigenberg and Eisenhower. You know what I'm saying? The two Jews with the lawyers. I can accept that. It's been dealt with. I didn't deal with it the way the streets wanted me to deal with it because I have shit to lose.
Right.
People that talking shit, they ain't got nothing to lose. You ain't in the 50% tax bracket. Fall back.
Listen, I've said this. All the social media fans that were telling Lil Durk to slide for Vaughn are the same people that are calling Lil Durk an idiot for being in prison right now, for sliding for Vaughn. Same thing. Man, we weren't really serious, we were just, it was just a cool hashtag. Oh, he's stupid. He's got all this money and now he's in jail for life. Oh, we didn't really mean to slide for Vaughn. It was just...
How you gonna let somebody that ain't in your position in terms of success, wealth, stature, give you advice?
Yeah.
That's moronic.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times also because I remember me and Durk used to be cool at one point. And I remember, we hung out. I got to meet his brother. Me and his brother spoke. This guy D-Thing who got killed, about a year ago also. And that was the older brother. And based on my interactions with D-Thing, I think if D-Thing was still alive and Durk ran this idea by him, he would be like, this is crazy. You're going to get caught. You're 100% sure that, you're flying people out, your credit cards, you're going out there yourself. Like, these people are connected to you. This is your manager. No, like, all of y'all going to prison. Don't do this. But I think Durk is in the position these days where he's the top dog. He has nobody to answer to. A whole bunch of yes men that are willing to do anything stupid around him just to, be in his good graces. So he's making dumb decisions without running it by anybody. And this is the repercussions of that. Like, everyone needs, look, we know this. Like, there's a lot of people around us that are just going to agree with us about anything because of who we are. I have people in my life like this. They will agree, no matter how crazy of an idea I run by them, they'll be like, oh, no, that sounds reasonable, Vlad. I have a lot of people around me like this. But I recognize this is what they do. So I know that I'm not going to run important decisions by them.
Right.
I need people to check me sometimes. And
you
when
need
you
a
don't
Mac
have
Mittens.
that,
Like Dave Chappelle said, you need a Mac Mittens.
Mac Mittens?
It was based off one of his stand-up specials.
Okay.
Like a guy that basically you run things past that ain't gonna be your yes man.
Well, since our last interview, Diddy has been arrested and is currently sitting in jail after bail has been denied 3 times. Are you surprised at all?
A little bit, because, you know, usually people with money and power and stature can get some wiggle room.
Yeah.
And it's not like he's a serial killer.
Right.
So to be denied bail is kind of a shock, but
Yeah.
that just makes me more curious to see how this all unfolds. Because again, we still have to hold innocent until proven guilty. He could have bought 50 million bottles of baby oil. That just means he's freaky. That don't mean he's committed a crime.
Right. And, you know, there's a silver lining, you know, in every situation. And, you know, with Diddy being locked up, you now have baby oil back on the shelves again. You know what I'm saying? You can walk into a Rite Aid and get a bottle. You know, that empty shelf that was there for the last few years,
yeah.
It was all Diddy. He was buying out baby oil for everybody.
Rumor has it that if you're in a dark room, especially a bathroom with a mirror, and you say, take that 3 times, like Candyman, Diddy shows up. He's baby oil, he's doing the Harlem Shake, shirtless, just covered in baby oil.
Well, he's being charged with sex trafficking, racketeering, and kidnapping. He has a May 5th date for his trial, but I'm assuming that it's not going to happen because there are still potential superseding indictments that might come in and so forth. So a lot of times when they set a date like this, new evidence comes in, new charges come in, and then, you know, the prosecution needs another couple months to review things, and then the defense needs a couple months to review things. So there's a reasonable date, you know, there's a reasonable, you know, situation where he may not go to trial for a couple years, 2, 3 years.
I gotta tell you, like, I've been arrested for petty shit before, like where I go in and they release me on my own recognizance. And I can tell you how horrible and miserable that is. I can't imagine being a billionaire where you live in mansions, you got homes all across the country, maybe certain other parts of the world. You got cars, money, you've been here, there, Turks and Caicos, France. You're a big deal, and now you live in this? I almost like wonder, how do you mentally hold up?
Well, look, I interviewed Alan Dershowitz. This is the guy that defended Jeffrey Epstein, you know, before he got put in prison, when he actually did the plea deal with the underage girls and everything else like that. And I asked him flat out, I said, look, there's so much conspiracy over Jeffrey Epstein hanging himself in the jail cell. People think that, you know, that he was about to snitch on a bunch of powerful people and they had him killed and so forth. I'm like, you know this guy, you worked with him. What do you think? He goes, honestly, you know, I'm not going to know everything, but from what I know about him, he was so accustomed to living the high life for so many years, flying private. You got your own island, you got women, you got food, you got celebrities, you got presidents and comedians, that he just could not bear the thought that he was about to be in a dirty jail cell for the rest of his life.
So you really think he killed himself?
Dershowitz thinks that he killed himself. I agree.
I don't see Diddy doing that.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. Will Diddy be able to deal with doing 20 years in prison? Think about it. This is probably the longest time Diddy has not had sex since he was like 20.
What makes you think he ain't fucking in the jail cell?
Who's he fucking? The guards?
Huh?
The guards, the other inmates?
Maybe the other inmates. If what they say is true, Diddy gonna do Diddy.
Well, here's what's interesting, right? Because there's always been the gay rumors. But I had the journalist Teray on my show recently. Now, he didn't want to talk about this on the show, but he did talk about this in another interview. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. So we both know Teray, right? Yeah. Teray's a solid dude, by the way. Yeah. Teray is not out there conspiracy theory, making weird allegations, whatever else. He said in a different interview, although he didn't want to talk about in my interview, in a different interview, he said at one point him and Diddy were cool. He called up Diddy and said, hey, I have a male cousin who's trying to get an internship at Bad Boy. Can you help him out? Diddy's like, all right, cool. Send him down here. I'll give him an internship. A while later, the cousin quit. Years later, the cousin told Teray that the reason he quit was because Diddy asked him to spend the night with him if he wanted to keep his internship. So he quit. And this is not a cousin that's suing. This is not someone who's doing interviews or chasing clout. He just quit. And he told Teray years later privately. So I'm thinking that's a real story. And the fact that Diddy was bold enough to try to have sex with the cousin of a very well-known journalist, knowing what the repercussions of it is, meaning he just didn't care. He's like, I'm gonna be fucking whoever I want to fuck,
Listen,
whatever else.
If Diddy was and is really bisexual,
I think he is.
Why not just say it?
Yeah.
Just come out.
He needs that support right now. The LGBTQ community might be able to.
I don't know what they can do for him. You think they're gonna sprinkle some fairy dust on his jail cell and he bust out? Nah, man.
But he might get a little more support in general.
Listen, man.
I mean, at this point, it's a little late, but at one point, he should have done it.
Listen, this ain't the 70s or the 80s or the 90s where that was deemed so taboo.
Yeah.
This is 2024. Yeah. I mean, if that's your thing and that's who you are, you're not gonna get stoned.
No, I think most people's career improves after they come out of the closet.
I don't know about that.
Oh, I do know about that. Think about Lil Nas X would not be Lil Nas X if he was still the in the closet rapper.
I never knew he was in the closet. I thought he was always,
no,
I'm lying, hear me roar.
That first song, he says, cheated on my baby, you could go and ask her. He's pretending to be heterosexual.
Luther Vandross sang about bitches for years.
Well,
we know.
Different time. Luther Vandross took it to the grave. But Lil Nas X.
Listen, being 49, I don't follow the littles and the whatnots. So I never really tracked Lil Nas X. But what I'm saying is, I think that our spider sense tells us, even when somebody's trying to portray like they not, we know when they are.
Did you hear about the newest lawsuit? Well, one of the newest lawsuits. There was a guy that worked for Echo Clothing, and at one point he ran into Diddy and 3 bodyguards in the back of a Macy's in Herald Square in New York. And at the time, Diddy was launching Sean John, which was competing with Echo. According to this lawsuit, and this was like 2005 or something like that, basically the bodyguards threatened this guy, and he claims that Diddy face fucked him. Face fucked him.
Like put his.
Yes.
Okay, that we've just changed the word of.
Well, it's a force.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? This guy apparently was not with it.
There's no blowjob that's forced. If you want out, bite.
Well, but what if you're scared of getting killed by the bodyguards?
Bite. I'll take my chances with the bodyguard, nigga. You're not gonna forcefully face fuck me. Biting, nigga. And I'm quite sure that if I can rip your dick off and show it to the bodyguards, they'll back the fuck up.
Spit it out of
this nigga's crazy.
Yeah, I'm sure at the time that a dick flies into your forehead.
Hey,
you may think twice about assaulting this guy.
I don't know what's scarier, you spitting it out or you just holding it. Diddy juice just dripping down your face. Let me tell you something. Men can be so homophobic that I don't think they realize that you can use that to your advantage. I always said if some big 6'8" motherfucker, brolic with muscles, like a Terry Crews type, were to grab me, and if a motherfucker's stronger than you, unless you know some type of martial arts, when they clamp you, they got you. Don't fight by trying to break free of the arms. All you gotta do is ever so gently take your fingers and just play with a little bit.
That's how you get out of it.
Like them Chinese silver balls. Just do like that with the nuts. They will let you go. Like this motherfucker. And then you run. Use homophobia to your advantage to survive.
Tickle the nuts.
Tickle the nuts. Here come the comments. Pause. You would say that. You once kissed a man. Pause. Need to come up with something new.
I think kissing a dude might get you out of it also. If you think
that might really get you fucked up.
It's the ultimate?
Yeah, you too close to the
tickling the nuts won't get you fucked up?
Nah, because when a man feels fingers on his nuts, he gonna be like, what the fuck? That's gonna jar him.
Okay. All right. Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul. That's happening around the time this is going to air. Who you got?
Come on, man. I'm going with Iron Mike, baby.
I don't know, man. I think I'm going with Jake Paul.
Why would you do that?
30-year age difference.
That don't mean shit.
Oh, yes, it does.
Mike got 30-something years of experience.
True.
He's still got power. Even though he's 58, he's still fucking fast. Jake Paul been fighting YouTubers.
Yeah.
He's a joke. Now he's got young man strength.
Yes.
And he seems like he knows how to work the mitts based on, his time in.
Yeah.
But Mike is a different breed, man.
Yes, but it's not Iron Mike anywhere near his prime.
I am not putting anything until I see him. I'm not putting anything past Iron Mike, man. And here's the other thing, which I think is more key than anything: the speed, the power, the desire, the hunger. Mike's focused. Mike's not on drugs. He's focused. He ain't the Mike that came out of prison that was fighting for, money. That was fighting because, he didn't really have a desire to do it. He was fighting for the money. Mike's got money. He's fine. He's in a good headspace. He's a family man. He got a wife. He's on his game now.
Okay, so I interviewed Ken Shamrock, former UFC champion. This is somebody who knows fighting better than you and me combined, times 1,000. And when I asked him the same question, he said Jake Paul fighting Mike Tyson is like beating up a guy in a wheelchair.
It's like, and it's not, but it feels like, because of how good Mike was and what his skill sets are, it feels like you're beating up somebody in a wheelchair. That's what it feels like to the boxing world, to how great Mike Tyson is, as opposed to watching him get in there. And if he doesn't look good, like I think a lot of boxing fans think he's going to beat Jake Paul because of what they know of Mike, right? And the skill sets that he has. But if he goes in there and he doesn't have that look and doesn't have that feel, it's going to feel like Jake Paul beat up somebody in a wheelchair. That's the feeling that's going to happen to the boxing world.
Oh, fuck him. Fuck him and fuck that. Really? We just gonna relegate Mike to being in a fucking wheelchair? You've seen him move. Now, I know mitts don't hit back,
Right.
but still.
Now, keep in mind, they're using 14-ounce gloves. So these are not the 10-ounce gloves that are being used in real fights, in real boxing matches.
So that's the Jake's advantage.
Well, these are pillows, right?
Right.
Comparatively. I mean, listen, I wouldn't want to get hit with Mike Tyson with a 14-ounce glove. I'm
Right.
not saying that, but I'm just saying this is, because originally, when they first announced it, this was supposed to be a real professional boxing match that will go on both boxers' permanent records.
Right.
Then I think Mike got injured while training. They pushed back the fight.
Right.
And now when they re-announced it and set a new date, 14-ounce gloves, 2-minute rounds, 8 rounds total.
Right.
This is an exhibition match,
Okay.
okay?
Okay.
And I think
You still driving a car without a seatbelt. You know what I'm saying?
still got airbags though.
Yeah. Mike Tyson, man.
Yeah, man, listen, I was
My biggest thing is this. He's focused. I think a focused Mike Tyson now is more dangerous than an unfocused Mike Tyson out of prison. Because, he was younger then, but if your head ain't right, if you ain't in the right headspace and emotional space, and you're not doing it for the right reasons, well, then you're begging to be beat. Mike's in a different place now, which I think makes him more dangerous.
I mean, look, you saw the Roy Jones fight?
Yeah, he was holding back on Roy. He was holding back.
He was holding back.
Him and Roy are cool.
He could have knocked him
He
out.
could have not. Come on, man. He has respect for Roy, love for Roy. Nah.
But you did see an older, more winded Mike Tyson in
Yeah,
that
was this
fight.
first fight in how many years?
300
to be
years.
expected.
Yes, first fight in 300 years.
Dude, let me tell you, and again, I know it's not the fight, but whether it's Mike hitting the mitts or you seeing him train, dude, there is a laser-like focus in that man's eyes. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be in front of him. A lion is still a lion.
Telling you, man, people are going to be mad at me for saying this, but I got my money on Jake Paul.
Well, then you're going to lose, Russian.
We both saw the Mr. McMahon documentary.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. The one thing that I learned from watching that was how he really approached it as a pure business, and he took his ego out of it.
I don't know if he took his ego out of it.
Well, let me explain what I'm saying. The one thing that really struck me was he would have all these wrestlers over the years leave his company, diss him publicly, sue him, and he would actually bring them back, even after the lawsuits,
That's smart.
and incorporate the lawsuits into the storyline.
That's smart business.
In fact, they even said in the documentary, they said that if you want to reestablish your relationship, your business relationship with Vince McMahon, sue him. There's a higher chance of him working with you again over that.
No, that has nothing to do to me with ego. That's about being a great businessman.
Right, but a lot of times our ego stops us. So I'm not going to say who it is, but there is a regular guest that's been on VladTV, a lot at one point. You haven't seen him in many, many years. After watching that, I called him up. We had a talk. We squashed it. And you're going to see him on VladTV very soon. That's how I was affected by that.
I'll give you an example from the doc, which was pure narcissism. And I love when I saw this, and I originally saw this on the 30 for 30 on ESPN, when Bob Costas was talking about how for the XFL, it had all this potential. Mm-hmm. And he said, when you announce it, it would have helped if you had humbled yourself. Like for the big premiere, hey, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Vince McMahon, blah, blah, blah. Sit back, relax. I now present to you XFL. But instead, you come out and go, the XFL. You bring in the wrestling aspect into football, and real football fans don't want that. So take your narcissistic ego out of that and be humble, because you're entering an arena which you want to be successful in. And the NFL has so much history, so much prestige, so many fans, that if you're going to compete, dude, humble yourself. Don't come in with this is the WWF mantra and attitude. You're turning people off already. Yeah, they're not taking you serious.
I just think, from what I have seen about the XFL during that time, they just had crappy players, and people didn't want to watch these glorified high school games.
Nope. When you watch the 30 for 30 on XFL, there was a lot of things that potentially were great. So much so that the NFL actually took certain things from the XFL and incorporated it into the NFL. So it had the potential. He just, he was Vince McMahon. He got in his own way. And it got sillier and sillier as it progressed.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he could have bought the UFC for like a couple $1 million was pretty wild. But to his defense, he had already dropped the ball with the XFL, and he was like, listen, the UFC is not WWE. This is not like drama and acting. This is an actual sport, and I don't really have a lot of luck building up actual sports leagues, so he let it go. There's a reasonable chance if he had bought it that it would have just went into bankruptcy.
Listen, you got to tip your hat to him and guys like him. You don't get to be a billionaire entrepreneur without fumbling the ball.
Yeah.
The failures come with it.
Of course.
That's why I love that commercial by MJ. I've failed over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed. And most people don't even know how to get to that level of success, and when they do, they're so scared of losing it that they don't take chances. He took chances, and he failed miserably at times, but his legacy.
Yeah. Well, Denzel, he's about to star in the new Gladiator 2 movie.
Yeah.
But you actually criticize him for trying to do accents.
Listen, man, I've said this before on my podcast, and I'll say it loudly and proudly. I don't think people give enough respect to how hard it is to pull off accents.
Yeah.
And it's amazing that you could be some of the greatest actors the world has ever seen. That is not a birthright to your ability to pull off an accent. We could go from Tom Cruise in Far and Away. We can go with Keanu Reeves in Dracula. We can go with Denzel. And listen, Denzel has done Shakespeare, Much Ado About Nothing, Macbeth. But when you look at The Mighty Quinn, there's one particular moment where he starts off Jamaican and ends American. What you mean you want to go upstairs and sit down and eat breakfast after dinner? Like it's terrible.
Oh yeah. I mean,
And I forget. I didn't even know he was in this movie till I saw it online. But he was in some movie where he did a British accent. Now, to people who are really from the UK, they were like in the comments, "Yeah, mate, that's not it. One of the finest actors of all time, but that ain't it." You know, here's a moment that I caught because I do accents. At one point in the scene, Denzel says the word "nothing." Now, and if you know anything about British people, they replace the T with an F. They don't go nothing, they go nothing. It's nothing. I don't know what you mean. You talk nothing. But Denzel would go nothing. And I went, yeah, he should have had an accent or a dialect coach.
I mean, look, I said this publicly on Twitter and people try to get on me about this. Keegan-Michael Key, he was played the voice of a Jamaican bird in Migration.
I didn't see that.
It was one of the worst Jamaican accents
No.
I've
I'm glad
ever
you
heard.
brought that up because I didn't even think about it. Brad Pitt doing a Jamaican accent and Meet Joe Black. Oh! That's what I'm telling you. And Brad Pitt, to me, is one of the finest actors to ever act.
Wait. Brad Pitt is one of the finest
don't do that.
actors
Don't
to
do
ever
that.
act. Brad
Don't do that.
Pitt.
Don't do
Hold
that.
on. He got better
Don't.
over time.
Get the fuck out of here.
He got better. Listen, once
One movie.
Fight Club hit, then okay. Fight Club, I'm like, okay.
Here's the
he's
movie
legit.
that cements it all. 7.
Yeah, 7 in Fight Club.
No. Hold on.
Around the same time.
Don't
Around
do
the
this,
same
Brad.
time.
Please don't do this.
Before then, he was trash.
Trash?
Yes.
Get the fuck out of here.
Thelma and Louise, trash. Just a pretty face.
That's what he was hired for, specifically for that scene.
Doesn't matter.
No, it does matter. Let me tell you something. One of the hardest things for actors to do is to cry on camera. That scene in 7 where he's struggling with, it's all sinking in, my dead, pregnant wife, who I didn't even know was pregnant, her head is in a fucking box. I'm struggling between upholding the law and not killing this motherfucker to I'm gonna empty my whole clip in him. When they're showing that scene where it's in the box, oh God! And you show the close-up in his eyes, and you see that struggle, get the fuck out of here. Brad Pitt is the real deal. He's like Oscar De La Hoya and Sugar Ray Leonard. Pretty face, but don't get it twisted. He got them hands. He got them acting hands.
I just remember when he started. When you saw, movies like Thelma and Louise and Cool World and, stuff like that. True Romance. It was like, Interview with a Vampire. By the time 1995 hit with 7 and 12 Monkeys, that's when things kind of...
And Fight Club.
And Fight Club. That's when it was like, okay, he finally got his chops down.
Okay, but you got to understand something. That's not about him not having his chops. That's him getting the right opportunities. Hollywood often will give you opportunities that won't allow you to showcase your talent. That's not his fault. Let's be honest. He's a fucking heartthrob. The younger you go back, he's a fucking heartthrob. So Hollywood wants to cast him as a heartthrob. But in order for you to show you got them hands, you need the right opponent. So until he gets the right opponent, he's fluff. He's doing fluff.
Okay.
The talent's always been there. The opportunity hasn't.
All right. I mean, I see your point. Because you do...
Brad is a bad motherfucker, dude.
I mean, look, accents, I feel especially the UK guys really just murder it.
Well, the UK guys, Australian,
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman doing an American accent, Tom Holland doing an American accent,
Idris Elba. Listen, I didn't know Idris was British
I didn't either.
until he was off The Wire.
Yeah.
When he was on The Wire,
Right.
I'm like, oh, okay.
Damson Idris.
Yeah.
The one from Snowfall.
Yeah. Another one.
Yeah.
But, every so often, what's his name? Morton Downey Jr., he pulls off a pretty good British accent.
And what?
Sherlock Holmes.
I never really saw Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
But again, when you do accents, it's those nuances. Like when you do an Indian accent, they replace their W's with V's.
Can you do Indian?
What are you saying? We're going to the Indian wedding. A wedding is a wedding.
A vetting.
A what is what? What are you saying? Everybody's going to an Indian wedding. So that's
Okay.
Indians. Yeah.
What's the difference when you do a British accent versus an Australian accent?
I can't do an Australian accent.
Ah, okay.
But there's something in that.
There is a subtlety in there.
There's a
yeah.
subtlety in that,
Yeah.
Crikey. Croy. You know what I'm saying? How they say certain things. Yeah.
I mean, Russian accents, that's something that hits close to home.
Just sound like you want to hurt someone. I used to do a joke where I would go, Russians' sense of humor's fucked up. They laugh at the wrong shit. Bartender, 4 shots of vodka for my comrades. We're going to toast. What do we toast to? Rape. Yay.
But with the Russian accents, you have to put an it in the wrong place.
A what?
An it.
It.
I would like to make it toast.
I would like to make it toast.
Right. Not I would like to make a toast. I would like to make it toast.
I would like to make it toast.
I would like to
Right.
make it toast.
I would like to make
Yeah.
the pussy eat mine.
Yes. The it really has no place being in that
Okay.
sentence, but they
Yeah.
throw it in there for some
Yeah.
weird reason. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I had Deion Cole on here recently. We had a debate. Who's more impactful, Eddie Murphy or Dave Chappelle?
Oh, Eddie Murphy.
That's what
not
I said.
close.
That's what I said.
Dave Chappelle is like, LeBron to Eddie's Jordan. Dave is powerful. He's the GOAT of this generation. But Eddie's filmography, his catalog is too deep. Listen, man, and listen, obviously you got to give Dave stand-up over Eddie because Eddie's only had 2 specials,
Right.
Delirious and Raw.
Yeah.
Dave is a beast in the gym.
But would you say, okay, hold on. Would you say that Chappelle's best stand-up is better than Eddie Murphy's best stand-up? Number one, okay, so before you answer it, Delirious or Raw, which is the better one?
Oh, Delirious.
Okay, I'll give you that. I agree.
Yeah.
So, does Chappelle have a stand-up better than Delirious? I say no. And you have to be around. You had to have been alive when Delirious dropped and seen the effect.
Yeah, you know what? I take that back. Wait. Oh, you said, does he have a special better than
A
Delirious?
stand-up special. Does Dave Chappelle have a stand-up better than Delirious?
Well, because it's hard for me to answer that because I like impressions and I do voices. So, and Delirious, when he does the Mr. T and the James Brown and the Michael Jackson, that holds a special place in my heart. But of all of Dave's specials, obviously Killing Him Softly is classic.
Of course.
But Equanimity, for me, Equanimity is right fucking there, if not a little bit better.
Better than
that's
Delirious,
a more
though?
seasoned.
Better than Delirious? I say no. I say no.
I don't know.
I
I
say
don't
no.
know.
I say no.
And what was it? What was the name of the special Dave did where he did the whole special was about trans?
His specials are Killed Him Softly.
Uh-huh.
That's the first one.
Yep.
For What It's Worth,
Second one,
Age of Spin,
third one,
Deep in the Heart of Texas,
fourth one,
Equanimity,
fifth one. That's my favorite.
Bird, Revelation,
Nope. It's the one after that.
Sticks and Stones,
No. What's after Sticks and Stones?
846.
What's after Sticks and Stones?
846. That's the one he just talked about George Floyd.
Yeah.
8 minutes, 46 seconds.
Yeah.
Then Unforgiven, Redemption Song, The Closer.
The Closer. That's it.
The Closer?
The Closer. Dude, he did a whole set
Yeah.
talking about transgenders. Do you know how hard that is to pull off? Where you do a whole show on one topic, and not only was it funny as fuck, truthful as fuck, of course, given the subject, edgy as fuck, but to take something that hard and do it so beautifully,
So you're talking about the impact as opposed to the actual content.
both. It was impactful content.
Content-wise, I'll still give it to Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy.
No, in terms of that content, Delirious beats that.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
But in terms of taking something so dangerous and creating this beautiful piece, that's hard. That's hard.
I remember me and TK were talking about this at one point, and I agree with him on this. Eddie Murphy is the biggest rock star
Absolutely.
of comedy, stand-up comedy of all time.
Dude,
Nobody even comes close.
Eddie Murphy has been around for 4 decades.
Yes. And he's been at the top of his game all 4 decades.
No, he hasn't been at the top of his game all 4 decades.
He started off on Saturday Night Live.
Pluto Nash,
No, I understand that.
There's been some piece of shit movies now.
No, but I'm saying, no, okay, you're right. There's been a few dips along the way, just like with everyone else. But
Beverly
I'm saying,
Hills Cop 3.
Yes, and 4.
4 wasn't as bad as 3.
4 was bad, though. 4 was bad.
It wasn't horrible.
All I'm saying is, unlike other comedians, he kind of just started off straight to the top.
Yeah.
There wasn't like this 4, 5, 10-year build-up with everyone else.
Youngest comedian ever on Saturday Night Live, 19 years old.
Straight to SNL, right? Became the main guy on SNL, and then went on to do major movies. Like, you see what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, come on. Like, he was full-blown rock star.
That's why I'm saying he's the Michael Jordan of this shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here's what's interesting, though. Michael Jai White said this in a, recent interview. And he's been around both of them. He said that in person, off camera, Rick James was funnier than Eddie Murphy. In a previous interview, you said that Rick James is actually funnier than Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, I know I said that, yeah. It's like I've been around Eddie Murphy several times. He's a real introspective dude, man. And he's like really a deep thinking person. Like even when people are goofing on somebody, he's like, oh man, come on, He's like the voice of reason. And I'm like, yeah, but you're Eddie Murphy. It's kind of funny. Big, avid boxing fanatic. Like he really studies. He and his brothers, they're real big boxing. And I think his nephew is competing on a high level. And so that's one of the things that I used to go over to the house when we had big boxing matches and stuff. So that was kind of what we were kind of into. But yeah, it was I was always found him to be and a few times one thing that Aries has mentioned is that after comedy clubs, he would have the things over his house. I went to, I think 2 of those before where, there was like, I hung with the comedians. A lot of my good friends were stand-up comedians. And so I was more a fly on the wall and hanging with them. But yeah, I experienced a couple of the after comedy set things at his house,
I could see that in some sick, psychotic, drug-infested kind of way. If you're talking pound for pound, legitimate talent, funny, it's Eddie. But yeah, in terms of break out the cocaine and titties for everybody, I'd love to be around Rick James in his hay.
Oh, that must have been just the ultimate.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, yeah. It's a celebration, bitches.
Celebration, bitches. What? He came from that. Rick James mainly dominated, like the 70s, right? But 80s too.
70s and 80s, yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say this was
Super Freak was 80.
Okay, I was gonna say
and
this
that was like his height.
Pre-AIDS, nigga. Like, let's party,
yeah,
but yeah.
Raw dog, everything.
Yeah.
What's a condom? I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
You could honestly say, and people are gonna get on me about this, that the Chappelle Show would not have nearly the impact that it did without the Rick James character.
That definitely was a major piece to it.
It was the biggest piece.
Okay, but there was still a lot of other shit, though.
I mean, the Prince thing came after that, but that was off the success of Charlie Murphy's True Hollywood Stories.
Yes.
They decided to do a Prince version of it. But you can still say that the Prince skit does not hold a candle to the Rick James skit.
No, but there's still a lot of other things. There's a lot of other bullets in that chamber.
There's a lot of bullets, but this is the bazooka.
I'm not gonna doubt that.
That's the single biggest moment of the Chappelle Show was Rick James.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Okay, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But the black blind supremacists.
Oh no,
white supremacists.
Clayton Bixby, yeah. No, there's brilliance all throughout. The reparation skit. There was people like to downplay this one. They don't mention it, but there was the whole thing about the racist animals. Like Flipper was like a racist dolphin.
The family, the white family. Yeah, there was a lot of bullets in them chambers. But
there was.
But no, I know what you mean.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Rick James, I think, really made the Chappelle Show. We would not be talking about it because without the Rick James skit, there probably wouldn't have been the Prince skit. And those two are the 2 biggest moments of the entire show throughout all the seasons.
Yeah, but
you can't deny it.
I know.
You can't deny it.
But Chappelle's such a locomotive You think that would have stopped him?
It wouldn't have stopped him, but it might have gotten canceled at one point. You know, the ratings might not have caught up. You see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, I hear you.
These were massive moments.
I hear you.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. I had Carlos Mencia on my show recently. Did you see him on stage recently where he mooned the audience?
No.
Showed his whole ass
Was
on
it a
stage.
playful moment or?
So he was at Bart Reed's comic strip in El Paso, Texas. Have you ever played there?
I think I may have.
So there was a rude couple in the front row. They were being obnoxious. He got into an argument with them. And at one point, he turned around and just pulled down his pants.
Yeah.
Showed his whole ass.
Uh-huh.
It was all caught on video as well.
Right.
Would you do something like this?
No, I wouldn't go there. I wouldn't go there. My words are my weapons.
Yeah?
So the moment I start pulling my dick out and showing my ass, it might be time for me to take a break. Listen, man, Joe Rogan single-handedly dismantled that man's career.
Although he's doing better now. He's got a Vegas residency now.
Listen,
Still making money.
when I used to perform at, or when anytime I perform at Cobb's Comedy Club in San Francisco, they do this thing where on the projector, they like show comics' famous quotes. And Chris Rock kind of had a quote where he was like, comedians are like preachers and our audience is our congregation. They're always going to be loyal to the pastor. And it's like, even though Joe Rogan did what he did, even at that moment, when you look at that footage and he goes, "You steal material." And then somebody in the crowd, some girl yells out, "Yeah, but he makes it better." So, even she's excusing what is theft. And when the people love you and they're behind you, you got them.
Yeah.
He's obviously, because I think of some of that, not where he used to be, but also some of that also is from the fact that, how long has it been since Mind of Mencia? I think he might have been in 2 movies. But you never know. That's the beauty of show business. You never know. Something could turn the tide just like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I brought it back. I kind of felt like what Joe Rogan did to him and the way that it was accepted by the public because Joe Rogan became as big as he became, I felt was just sort of unfair.
Well, it was really unfair when he, did that, but then gave a pass to Amy Schumer and called it parallel thinking.
Right.
Come on, man.
In fact, Carlos even mentioned that in the new Joe Rogan Netflix special, there were some jokes that he stole.
The Joe stole?
Yeah. Yeah, and they actually showed the comedian and they showed it.
Oh, really?
I mean, listen, it's the internet. They're going to dig up what they're going to dig up. So, yeah. So it was kind of,
nobody's
karma and
clean.
a certain... Listen, I remember I interviewed D.L. Hughley not too long ago, and he said that early in his career, he was stealing Robin Harris's jokes.
Yeah.
And Tommy Davidson confronted him about it. And at the time, he was angry, but he said, I was actually doing it, though.
I used to take Robert, when I first started out 30 years ago, it was Robin Harris.
Aha.
Yeah. And I remember Tommy Davidson, we were at this place. It's not even open no more. It was on Encino and Balboa in the Valley. And Tommy Davidson came up to me and goes, I think I've been doing comedy maybe a year. And Tommy Davidson came up to me and he said, "Hey man, that's Robin Harris stuff." And I wanted to fight Tommy, but he was right. And right then and there I learned I'm not doing that no more.
I think part of what hurts you too is if you just brazen about it and arrogant. Like when Carlos was accused of doing it, Carlos would then later on just brazenly just go, "Yeah, I've stolen jokes, so what? I do make it better." That don't help you.
He said that?
Yeah, versus comedians who humbly go, "Yeah, I fucked up." Because I recently did an interview on Barry Katz's podcast, who used to once upon a time manage Dave Chappelle, Frank Caliendo, and Jay Moore, and it almost was going to be my manager. And I remember early in my career when I started at 14 years old, he asked me, he was like, "Remember that time you were accused of stealing a joke from Dave Chappelle?" And I went, "Yeah, I did."
What joke was it?
I don't remember, but it was, I was young, I was starting out. I kind of probably caught myself at a moment on stage where I was nervous and desperate and didn't think anybody would find out And yeah, I did it, but you know, it almost feels like to some degree, and I remember Damon Wayans said this: if you ain't stealing from some of the best, then you ain't a comic. You know how many people have stolen from Richard Pryor? You know, so I'm not condoning it or advocating it. You do it, but sometimes that's the nature of the beast.
I mean, like DL said that he's convinced that every comedian has stolen jokes at some point.
At some point.
At some point.
Yeah.
Now, I brought this up to Deion Cole, and he said he's never stolen a joke. He said, in fact, he doesn't even watch other comedy specials to avoid potentially just doing that accidentally.
Right.
You know, he's always like, look, if you watch my Netflix specials, I don't talk about current events. I really try to go a completely different direction. I don't know if you've seen his latest special where he's talking about older women and stuff like that. Like, he really goes in a different direction than everyone else. But he told me there was a situation that happened in St. Louis where this comic that went on literally took his whole routine. Like he's watching it off stage going like, this is my whole routine. And he said he actually confronted the dude after the show. And he had like a crew of dudes with him. This was in St. Louis. And he was like, yo, man, I'll smack the shit out of you. Like, you know who I am? And blah, blah. The guy, I don't know. And he said, like, it started to escalate. And one of the dudes that were like, you know, in the crowd, in like the huddle that they were having the argument in, pulled out a gun. So everyone ran. He comes to find out that was actually one of his guys, but he was like, man, I'm done with St. Louis. I'm never going back here again.
Right.
These motherfuckers are just too crazy. Like, there's too much going on here.
And Deion's a witty dude, man. Like, just witty.
I love Deion.
Yeah.
I'm one of my favorite people these days.
Yeah.
Honestly, just the coolest dude. I remember speaking to Deion Cole. He talked about how Diddy hired him to write his monologue for the Billboard Awards. Mm-hmm. He said, actually, Dave Chappelle was offered it first, and Dave kind of like, here, you do it. I don't want to do it.
Right.
So he gave it to Deion. This was the night that Dave got jumped on stage at the Hollywood Bowl and everything else like that. And he was like, look, he was like, when I approached Diddy, I was like, look, I used to write for Conan, and if you want me to write for you, we just need to hang out for a couple weeks. And I need to just figure out, your sayings and, and how you talk, because that'll make it the most natural for you, as opposed to me just writing a whole bunch of, stuff that you're not familiar with. And look, he said he's never saw anything, inappropriate. He was flying on private jets, smoking weed. He was inspired. And we talked about how, like, Diddy calls you 2 a.m., would you not show up? He was like, I would show up at 2 a.m. I mean, not at his room, but at the studio or, other places. It was like, yo, the guy's a genius. Like, when he feels inspired and he calls you, you go and you show up. He even said how, like, he asked the security, he's like, man, when do y'all sleep? They're like, whenever we can. Because Diddy would just drag these dudes with him everywhere he went. But, people like to phrase it. Me and you, I think, had a discussion about this where I said if Diddy called me up at 2 a.m. and said, hey, Vlad, I got a business idea, come by my hotel room, I would come by. I don't see a problem with it.
And that's where we parted ways. Meet me in the studio, nigga. Meet me at Denny's. Why am I in your hotel room?
It's not going to be a regular hotel room. It's not going to be like a little...
I don't give a fuck if it was a castle, nigga. Why am I in your room?
Bobby Lee, he was on MadTV with you.
Uh-huh.
And recently you guys kind of squashed whatever issues you had. Mm-hmm. What was the original issue?
When he first was on the show, admittedly so, he was dealing with a lot of personal issues. So it felt like he wasn't quite ready for game time. And, when you're on a sketch comedy show and you're fighting for airtime, a lot of times the difference between your skit that you're in, making it to air or being shot and not, is you have to be ready for game time. You gotta be able to read the skit at the Monday morning table read. You gotta be able to deliver. You have to sell it. And if you're not ready, because you're dealing with issues, then that means if the skit suffers, anybody who's in it suffers. So that would bother me.
He wouldn't be ready.
He wasn't ready. Okay.
Was he on the show for multiple seasons?
Yeah, he had a nice little run.
Okay.
But the first couple years were rocky.
But they still kept him on.
Huh?
But they still kept him on.
Yeah, they kept him on. I mean, listen, when you join a team, when you come to the Bulls, and we done won a couple of chips, yo, you got to be ready.
Okay.
You got to come ready to play.
So did you guys have like arguments on set and stuff
Never.
like that?
Never. It just was, like I kept my distance, I didn't really invest too much in trying to really get to know him and befriend him, which may not have been the best way to handle it on my part. But again, I'm young and I'm learning and I'm going through it too for the first time. So when you're young and you're in a situation where you're hungry and stage time or TV time is everything, you take that shit serious. And anything that seems to impede that, you're gonna have an issue with.
I mean, how'd you guys finally squash it?
He had me on his podcast
Okay.
and we talked it out. It was great.
And you actually admitted to your role in this whole thing and everything else like that?
Yeah. I mean, that's the good thing about when you get older. You're supposed to be wiser. And I admitted I could have probably handled it differently, But again, we both were young, and it's like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? That's like that great 30 for 30 on ESPN about Shaq and Penny. And Shaq was like, back then when you're 20, whose team is it? That means the world to you. But when you look back on it, that's a useless title. Is it my team? Is it Penny's team? What difference does it make? We on the same team with a common goal. So, but when you're young, you care about silly shit like that.
Well, I mean, this almost reminds me of my situation. Me and Marlon got into it.
Yeah.
And you actually hit me, you texted me, and you criticized the fact that I apologized to Marlon publicly over putting our business affairs, in the public eye.
Well, I just felt like, if you did it, you did it. So stand your ground. And I can't remember the total, the makeup of all the details, but, I saw Marlon on the Breakfast Club and he said, did you see that?
Yeah, I saw it.
And he was like, yeah, Vlad trying to pit Aries against me, telling a black man another black man's business. And there were some people in the comments that was like, I'm glad Aries didn't fall for the bait and started bashing another black man for the sake of what Vlad was trying to do. And ultimately, look, I can't speak on too much that situation from where y'all was coming from, because I kind of understood where Marlon was saying in terms of know your worth. Now, do I still think that he would get 40,000 for an interview? No, I don't believe he would.
He's never gotten 40,000.
Okay, but and listen, I'm not saying that to say he's not deserving of it. He shouldn't go for it. If that's what you believe, that's what you believe, and you ride that out. I just was going, damn, somebody gonna cough up 40 grand for an interview?
Plus 30%.
That's even more so.
Right.
So, that was just my only take on it.
Right. Look, I hate if I get into an argument with another human being and the argument is over a specific thing and the first thing they do is pull out the race card. It happens all the time. Marlon pulled it out. I remember when me and the Princeton professor, were going back and forth over me criticizing the mixed quality of a Kendrick song, which ultimately the engineer even said, yes, we put out a very rough version because Kendrick wanted it out quickly and we fixed it later on. But it turned into a racial thing. Vlad's trying to get a black professor, female, fired. Marlon, Vlad is trying to put black men to fight each other. Okay, there was no racial element into what I was doing, but ultimately it turns into a race thing because it's easy to pull that out. At the end of the day, I still stand behind what I'm saying, and that is nobody's going to pay Marlon $40,000 plus 30% to do an interview. All these interviews he's done since then, and I know the people that he's done interviews with, like the Breakfast Club, they don't pay anything.
Well, I know that because I've been on it twice.
I've been on 5 times.
Right.
They don't pay anybody, including myself, including Marlon, and everything else like that. So what I stand on is still what I stand on. That amount of money, nobody's going to pay you. Now, you could say, you can't tell me what my worth is, but the market determines your worth. You don't determine it. I could say that I want $1 million every time I interview on someone else's platform. I can feel that's my worth. No one's going to pay it. So that's just in my head. It's ultimately the market that determines it, and the market is based on, your views, your audience. It's like saying, you know, you could say from here on in, I'm only doing stadiums, right?
Yeah.
Every
you
show,
don't have the ability
right.
to sell out a stadium.
Every show, you could say that.
Right.
You could call your booking agents, whatever else. Say, listen, if it's not a stadium, don't even call me.
Yeah.
I'm not doing a club. I'm not even doing an arena. If it's not Wembley, lose my number.
Right.
And you will remain unemployed.
Yes. Or you'll go back to Chin's Chuckle Hut in Podduke, Minnesota.
Right? So people like to say that I'm diminishing. No, I'm not diminishing. I'm just talking about what the market, you know, what the market bears. Now, he did that Shay Shay interview, got a lot of views, but right afterwards, he did Shaq, and it got about 400,000 or 500,000 views.
Dude, all
and
of
then
this
he did
shit.
Breakfast Club, which once again got about
Dude,
400,000
listen,
views.
all
So
of this.
what I say, I stand on. But I just want to say this. But the reason why I apologized was academics kind of pointed out, he goes, Vlad, isn't that somewhat unprofessional? Like, you know, this was a private discussion between the two of y'all about business. Was it really necessary to publicly put it on blast and start interviewing people about it? And I'm like, that's a good point.
So look, the man thing you did was you apologized.
Yeah.
That was some man shit.
Yeah.
But as far as what you did, dude, you are a narcissist, motherfucker. You have an ego.
Yeah.
So sometimes that gets the best of you.
It does.
Just like, me too.
It does.
We all had it.
And when I apologized, I said I was being an asshole.
Right.
That was an asshole move. And Marlon even touched on this on the Breakfast Club. He said, listen, if you look at our text messages, I was being really cool and polite. And that's true. He was being very humble and polite about it. He even got on the phone. We had a conversation about it. I was just going through some personal shit at the time. And if you really know me, you know what I'm talking about right now. It was some very traumatic shit that I was going through family-wise. And I think I just took it out on the world at that time. But I was being an asshole. I didn't need to put it out there. It could have just stayed between us. And maybe at some later point, you know, we could have potentially even done something or whatever. And we can still potentially do something at one point. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, that's the reason why I apologize. Because it was actually unnecessary to put a personal conversation, a personal business dealing into the public eye and create content out of it. That's why I apologize. That's what didn't sit right on me. But once again, I'm still not going to pay $40,000. And nobody else is going to pay $40,000 either.
In terms of knowing your worth, you know, that doesn't just work in terms of money. Like, I remember I reached out to Shannon Sharp to do Shay Shay.
Yeah.
And he hit me in the Instagram DMs, for sure. Have my producer call him, I'm blah, 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 blah. And then for some reason it wasn't happening. And then I checked back in with him once, twice, three times. And now I'm like, okay, now I'm starting to feel like I'm sweating them. So then I started to get the sense, well, they don't want you on. I said, all right, that's cool.
Yeah.
So then my publicist hit me about a week ago and goes, they want you to do Club Shay Shay, only they want you to do virtual. I said, absolutely not. No, you have me on in front of him like you do everybody else.
Right.
I'm not fucking doing a virtual from my crib, you know, and I don't know if that's a self-inflated ego, but I feel like I got 35 years in the game. I'm respected. I'm known, whether you like me or not. You know, I've earned my stripes. You're not gonna lessen me to a fucking computer screen. That's my worth.
I feel you. I feel you. Listen, there's lots of artists that I've interviewed that basically said, listen, we're either going to do it in person or we're not going to do it all.
Right.
You either fly in, you fly me out, whatever else. We're in the same place.
Right.
We're not going to do it. I remember Lil Bibby was like, I'll do the interview, but you got to be on camera. You know, and that's where he put his foot down.
But when you,
and I wanted the interview.
But listen,
so,
when you think of the Vlad brand,
yeah,
there's more cachet when it's the artist and the CEO of the show. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like I'm gonna be on let's say, I don't know what it was called back then, but let's say whatever the name is, it's Barbara Walters' show. But only, you know, you don't get Barbara Walters, you get whoever. Whereas some of the, I guess what you might consider the A-listers or the bigger names, they get Barbara. That has more cachet when it's with Barbara. So that's like, I remember when Arsenio Hall's show came back for the second time. And he said to my people, he can do stand up, and then possibly the couch. Like, no, I'm again. I didn't just start this. I've been doing this for 25 years. No, I sit down, talk to me. I'm not sitting up there burning my material for 5 minutes of yucks. No, have me on the couch, nigga. Talk to me. And when they said, well, he's either got to do stand up or, I said, well, then I'm not doing it.
Yeah, man, listen, everyone has things that they will and won't do. And I get it. And look, Charlemagne brought up the fact that I apologized to Marlon, and Marlon said I accept his apology because I'm a peaceful person. I mean, he took a few more shots at me. That's cool. Like, I don't mind that. And I think the cool part about it all was that neither one of us went below the belt when we had our back and forths.
Right.
It was like he started calling me ugly and starts talking shit about my beard. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry you don't find me attractive. You know, you're best known for dressing up like a woman and you do gay photo shoots. You know, maybe you should do gay porn. You know what I mean?
And you said it didn't go below the belt.
Well, no. That's what I'm saying. I think those types of jokes are not below the belt. I didn't talk about his trans child.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
And trust me, the comments were filled with that.
Right.
That would have been a very easy target.
Right.
But I said, nah. I said, his kid has nothing to do with our argument. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He didn't bring up family members, you know, like other past guests have done, and, you know, which is why they're not going to be, you know, on my show ever again. It was like, okay, I didn't talk about, you know, smoking his dead homies, or, you know, I didn't say fuck your mother, you know, or fuck your brother or whatever else. Like, you know, it's like, oh, it's between us. We kept it between us. And if we ever run into each other, I don't have a problem approaching him. And I don't think he'll have a problem approaching me. You know, I mean, we may not be friends or whatever else, but it's like no one did anything that caused irreparable harm.
Yeah.
And I think more people need to learn about this, because you go to the hip hop world, I'm smoking on your dead brother. I'm smoking on your dead father. Fuck your dead homies. I'm going to do a video at the graveyard holding up pictures of your dead friends. I mean, this is how Fulio got killed, essentially.
Yeah.
You know, like this type of really like horrific, below the belt, nasty, disgusting language that's as dirty as you could get it.
Yeah.
You know? Like, it's one of those things. And people need to kind of learn that, like, you may have a problem with this person at one point, but at some later point, you might end up becoming cool again, and you guys might be able to actually do some business together. Tom Brady's ex-wife, Giselle, has gotten pregnant by her jiu-jitsu instructor. City boys are winning, man. City boys are up. He done impregnated some rich pussy right there, let me tell you.
Well, I mean, she still is sloppy seconds.
Hey, man, for him, though, he's a jiu-jitsu instructor.
That's all right.
Come on now.
He didn't get her at first and down.
It's kind of hard to compete against Tom Brady.
That's okay.
When you do karate, you know, with 10-year-olds on the weekend. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I think Tom gonna be all right. Tom gonna be all right.
Tom gonna be. He actually posted something cryptic about it, but we're not quite sure what it means. Listen, shit. If I was a broke-ass jiu-jitsu instructor and I had this rich broad who's got all that Tom Brady money, shit, I wouldn't pull out either.
Hey, he secured his future. Can't blame him for that. He secured his future.
Would you do it if you were dating Giselle? Would you pull out?
I wouldn't pull out if I was dating the bitch that worked at Wiener Schnitzel.
Really?
I'm being funny.
You'd have more kids right now.
No, yeah.
You have 3, right?
I'd like to think that I could survive on my own merit. You know, like at the end of the day, if Oprah gave me a chance at some pussy, and I came up in I've secured my future.
Yeah.
But I'd like to think that I wouldn't want to owe Oprah. You know what I'm saying? Like I'd want, as a man, you want to know that you did it on your own.
Yeah, Dave Chappelle had a whole skin around that.
Yeah.
Remember he got Oprah pregnant?
Yep.
You like Stedman would call, be like, leave us alone. Try to bring my happy home right now.
One of the many bullets in the chamber.
Well, by the time this comes out, it'll be over. Yankees versus Dodgers.
I think it's over now.
Yeah, it's 3-0.
3-0. Unless they pull off a Boston Red Sox and come back from 0-4 down 0-3. And I gotta say, man, and being a diehard New Yorker, it was tough. It was tough for me to see that we didn't have a proper comeback for Ice Cube. When he did that bow down, when you Yankees come to my town, bow down. And you know, I'm doubly invested because originally I'm from New York, but LA is home. I'm not a baseball fan either way. A lot of people was like, yo, they should have had Jadakiss or Jay-Z. I'm not even mad at Fat Joe. I just don't know why that song choice. Lean Back instead of I got 100 guns, 100 clips.
Yeah.
I'm from New York.
That's not his song, though.
Whose song is that?
It's a Ja Rule song.
All right, he's got a part in it.
Yeah, you're right. It's a Ja Rule featuring Fat Joe.
All
and
right.
Jadakiss.
Yeah, well, then feature your part.
Well, they'd have to bring out Ja Rule then.
If you can make that happen, more the merrier.
Pretty sure Ja Rule would perform if they offered it to him.
Okay, so listen, imagine if they made...
But Lean Back is Joe's biggest song, which is why he did it.
Yeah, I know, but for the moment of what that was, I'm from New York, I got 100 guns, 100 clips, I'm from New York, that hits harder. That just hits harder.
It's not exactly family friendly, though. See what I'm saying? You got to take a step back and realize the World Series is a family sporting
Listen,
event.
they bleep everything out anyway, so just do the song with the bleeps.
Okay.
You down 0-3. Break glass, emergency.
Well,
I think that, truthfully, what would have been better and more family friendly, if that's the point, than Jay-Z doing Empire State of Mind with Alicia Keys, and he got that line, I made the Yankee hat more famous than a Yankee can. Woo!
I'm sure they offered it to Jay. Jay was probably turning it down.
Yeah, it's over.
Yeah.
It's over. Ah,
Take your hat off.
never. Never.
Well, what do you think about Kendrick performing at the Super Bowl?
I respect Kendrick. I know he's one of the young guns in the game today. Nothing but respect, but I'm not a Kendrick fan like that.
Really?
Nah.
You wouldn't say that Kendrick is one of the best ever in hip-hop?
No.
Really?
It depends on where you put him in the top
You
whatever.
don't think he's earned that spot?
Top 10, no. Top 20, no. Top 50?
Whoa.
Maybe, yeah.
You wouldn't put Kendrick in the top 20?
No.
Okay, all right, hold on. I'm gonna call you on this. Okay, let's see, hold on. I want you to list 20 rappers over Kendrick.
Ready?
Let's go.
Jay-Z, Nas, Jadakiss, Biggie, Big L, Big Pun, Rakim, KRS-One, Eminem.
You want me to help you out?
Tupac. That's 10. LL Cool J, Cannabis.
Wait. Okay, I'll let you keep.
You about to
talking.
fuck with me on my
No.
subjective opinion?
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
So what is
I'll
that?
shut
12?
up. I'll shut up.
Is that 12?
Wait, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
That's 12. I'm counting it.
Yeah, that's 12.
Black Thought. What's Method Man. Give me some more rappers.
This is very East Coast heavy right here.
Okay.
By the way,
Look who you talking to.
you're kind of leaving a lot of the West Coast legends off this list.
Well, that's because I don't feel they belong there
But
necessarily.
you lived in L.A. quite a while, man. Come on.
That don't mean shit.
Okay.
You want me to sway my allegiance just because I don't live in New York no more?
All right.
So what is that, 14? That's 14?
That is 14.
It's 14.
Do you want me to throw some in as potentials?
Yeah, I'll tell you if I put him there or not.
Yeah, exactly. Ice Cube?
Hell no.
No?
Hell no. Who else?
Eazy-E?
Even more hell no.
Okay.
Oh, I'm from J. Cole, that's 15. Dave East, that's 16.
Wait, Dave East?
Yes.
Over Kendrick. Okay.
Yes.
Keep going.
16.
Keep going.
Fuck it, I know they're a group, but Mobb Deep.
Okay. I'll give you that.
Where am I at? 17?
You are at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 17. 3 more.
17. Oh shit. Big Daddy Kane. 18.
Lil Wayne?
No.
Okay.
No. 18. Most Def. 19. Come on, Aries. One more spitter.
Andre 3000?
Nope. Busta Rhymes.
Busta Rhymes.
All of those are better than Kendrick Lamar.
Woo! Okay. Okay.
Spitters.
Who do I have a problem?
Lyricists.
Who do I have a problem with?
Metaphors. Punchlines.
Your top 10 is pretty solid. I would not say Cannabis over Kendrick Lamar.
In terms of spit ability, you're crazy. Wordplay, you're crazy. Complexity, you're crazy.
How about just the actual songs?
No, what are you talking about?
Name some actual...
You're going for commercial hits.
No, I mean like actual bodies of work. Cannabis had one album that flopped.
Cannabis is a spitter.
He's a spitter. He was great on the mixtapes. On the mixtape circuit, he was doing his
He
thing.
outspits Kendrick to me.
Okay. Black Thought, I mean, I've publicly said I'm not a huge Black Thought fan, but I think it's more of a style as opposed to a content thing because he actually can spit and, you know, his freestyles were phenomenal. I just feel like his body of work with the Roots.
I'm not going off that. I'm going off that Funk Master Flex freestyle.
So you're talking about freestyle? What? Kendrick's never done a freestyle. You can't even compare him to that. Kendrick's not a freestyle.
But don't take the word freestyle. I'm talking about the ability to spit. Again, wordplay, metaphors, punchline, complexity. That freestyle embodied all of that.
Okay, you would put Dave East over Kendrick Lamar.
You know what? I'll take that back. Let me replace that. Let me replace that with.
Because that's the biggest head scratcher on that list.
Let me replace that with Michelle A. Michelle A. What's her name?
Michelle A's not even a rapper. She's a singer.
I'm trying to fuck with you.
Exactly.
What's wrong with Dave East?
Dave East is cool, but I wouldn't.
All right,
I've never heard anyone put him on their top 10 list.
I'll replace him with Fat Joe.
Fat Joe over Kendrick Lamar?
Yes.
Mos Def had a moment in the beginning. He was definitely dope when he first came out. I was a big fan, but he didn't have much staying ability. It was like a spark, and then that was that.
So you're basing this off of
body of work,
career, like length in a career?
Well, yeah. I mean, why wouldn't you base it off that?
Listen, you don't.
And all the people you mentioned early on have those careers. Jay-Z, Nas, Jadakiss. Biggie only had 2 albums, but
you don't have to fire long if you fire deadly. And Cannabis fires deadly.
I would take out essentially every person in your 11 through 20 list. I would take off LL, Cannabis, Black Thought, Method Man, J. Cole, Fat Joe, Bob D, Big Daddy Kane, Mos Def, and Busta Rhymes.
You think Kendrick Lamar spits better than LL?
Yes. And here's the thing. Well, this is a tough one because LL in his prime was an absolute.
And you talking about a guy body of work?
Okay, yeah, he has a body of work. I can see an argument for LL. I will say this though. I will say this, and this. You know, me and Matt Hoffer were talking about this in our last interview. When it comes to the arts, whether it's music, acting, comedy, whatever else, you have to stay with it, right? You have to stay sharp and you have to continue to create, or else if you try to come back after a long hiatus, you're gonna sound dated and rusty. And when you listen to the new LL Cool J album, the song with Eminem, I was actually embarrassed for LL Cool J. He sounded so out of touch compared to what Eminem was doing that it actually hurt me to hear it. And I'm an LL Cool J fan. I was buying, you know, Bad and, Walking Like a Panther and stuff like that. I was buying his albums when they were coming out. Mama Said Knock You Out and so forth. He was in his prime during that time. When you hear a 2024 LL who stopped rapping for decades to just do, acting, and a 2024 Eminem that never stopped, they continue to put out albums every couple of years, drastically different. And what Matt kind of pointed out also was that LL was kind of trying to do an Eminem, on the song. Did you hear the song, by the way?
Yeah, LL has always taken chances outside the norm, though. So that to me felt like a song he took a chance on. Now, I'm not necessarily
there was a belly flop.
A huge fan of that song because of the cadence and the rhythm of it.
It sounded bad.
It's not for me.
It sounded bad.
But I've heard LL, there's a clip where LL was on Sway, and Sway is like, hey, spit a freestyle. Yo, LL bad, dude. Some of the shit that he spit with that beat and the way he was riding that beat, man, please. LL is still a soldier.
I'm not saying he isn't. I'm saying on that song?
Yeah, on that particular song, okay? That wasn't for you, that particular song.
Who was it for?
Somebody liked it.
I guess. I guess. You had some interesting comments on some of your other podcasts that you've done. You said more men should get their feet done.
Yeah, pedicures.
Right. Because you said some of these feet out there look like they've been kicking 9/11 debris.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of you dudes' feet look like y'all been kicking 9/11 debris, nigga. You know where I got that? I forget where I was coming from. Dude, I am not exaggerating, man. There was this one dude who had to be at least like close to 300 pounds, Samoan motherfucker. And when he was at the airport and he had to take his shoes off, he ain't had no socks on. Vlad, it took everything in me not to grab my phone and personally record this motherfucker shit from 2 inches away. I've never seen such heinous feet. I mean, the nails past the meat of the toes, the back of the ankle chafed and scarred up. I said, this nigga looked like he been kicking 9/11 debris. Nothing but glass, soot, metal, and steel. It was horrific. And I say, even when I talk about it in my stand-up, again, men, we tend to be so homophobic that we associate anything that ain't deemed macho gay. I was gay, is feminine. Number one, it's a great stress reliever. It feels amazing. Two, if you're gonna put the top down on your Cadillac, make sure your interior is tight. There's nothing, and listen, women no woman wanna be in the bed with a man with alligator claws ripping up sheets and calves. You know what I'm saying? And listen, when I don't have a pedicure, I gotta sock it up, because my shit is rough. But when I get a pedicure, nigga, I'm the Muhammad Ali of feet. I'm pretty, nigga. My shit is pretty.
You talked about how women like to say that black men who marry white women don't love their moms.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous. Listen, love is love. Loyalty is hard to find, trust is hard to find, love is hard to find, friendship. And if you find all of those qualities in somebody that just is not the same pigmentation as you, who gives a fuck what other people think? Life is short, man. Do you? But and I'm all for the love and the celebration of my sisters and my black queens. And I always said, for me personally, if I ever get married again, who I have my legacy with, a family with, it's gonna be a black woman or a Hispanic woman. My one baby mother black, the other Puerto Rican. That's my taste. But if it just so happens to not be a black women, stop. That's because you don't like your mother. What a ridiculous fucking thing to say. That you don't like your mother just because you choose to procreate and share a legacy with somebody who is not black? That is ridiculous. I don't love my mama? That is the most asinine thing to ever fucking say.
Deion Cole said this in his stand-up, and we talked about it in our last interview. Do you feel that black women give a harder time to black men who date outside their race as opposed to black men giving a hard time to black women who date outside their race?
No, men don't give a fuck what pussy you get, because we know it's pussy. And black women only get upset when it's a black man of value. When when you're Denzel, when you're Michael Jordan, if you're the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, if you're in the 50% tax bracket, then it matters. Because it's like, you know, they look at it like almost if the shit hits the fan, then why put that money in another community? At least if it don't work with a black woman, you keep the money in the community. Now, as a man that is about to have half his shit taken, I could give a fuck about the community. Don't take half my shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm not thinking about that because black women fuck black men over in divorce court just as much as white women.
True.
So let's stop that myth that somehow being with a black woman, because that's another thing they say. See, that's what happened when you date outside your own. Man, please. A black woman will take a man to court just as fast as a white bitch.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know how many basketball players I've interviewed who had black wives who wiped them out.
Yeah.
Wiped them out.
Yeah. A tsunami knows no color.
Yeah, and look, as someone who's dated black women most of my dating life, you know, early on I had, you know, some black men make little snide comments. We were walking by and stuff like that. No one's ever actually approached us. You know, but I've had little looks and stuff like that. I mean, I've never, you know, but I'm also living in California and New York. I'm in places, you know, I'm sure down south in the Bible Belt, things might have gone a little bit differently.
Right.
But people gonna hate, and I think a lot of times it is like the high value part. It's like no one cares about the white dude dating the fat, ugly black girl, but if the white dude that got the bad black girl, people are gonna feel some type of way about it.
Right.
Cause,
Maybe.
Because there's some jealousy.
Right.
Yeah. I remember the one time I had someone approach me negatively about VladTV, was at an airport, and he saw me with my lady, and he kept staring at her, and then when I walked over, he was like, oh, damn, and then he like walked up to us and like said something nasty to me about VladTV. But it's like, oh, he was just looking at the girl, and he thought maybe he had a chance. And when I showed up, it was, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I think there's a jealousy thing. I think men are men, and they go think, oh, I can hit it better than him. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he not hitting it right. Like, I get that type of stuff. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm a white man. I'm in black, you know, have in multiple long-term relationships with black women. I don't really know what it's like on the other side. But, you know, I've had black male friends where black women have given them a hard time over the white girl thing.
Listen, man, and you like what you like, and you like what you like for certain reasons. There is nothing more intoxicating than spooning a black woman with your arm around her waist in the dead of winter, lying in bed with the heat on, and you ingest all that cocoa butter and Luster's pink oil moisturizer. That is wonderful. Now, and don't get me wrong, I'll fuck a white bitch till her hair fall out, but that's the problem. There's a lot of shedding with white women. They shed a lot. So I don't know that I want hair streaks in my bed.
I don't know, man. There's these white girls coming out of Australia with these bodies that are like, I don't know what's going on with the water or the food or whatever.
I gotta book a flight to Australia.
you gotta go to Australia. You know what I'm saying?
See if it's what you say it is.
I'm telling you. I mean, you know, like I'm a porn guy, so I'm seeing some of these porn scenes, and it seems like all the thick white girls are all out of Australia.
Foster's Australian for beer.
I'm just saying, something's going on. Something's going on.
Thick as a Foster's can.
Iggy Azalea was just the first one. There's a whole floodgate. They came in after him.
Well, welcome.
The thick white girls.
Welcome.
You said something interesting. I believe it was on the Sage Steele podcast, where you said a day doesn't go by without you thinking about quitting the business.
Right.
Is that true?
Yes, absolutely.
So today you thought about quitting?
When I was on my phone, yes. Yes.
Going through your business trauma.
Yes. Yeah, man. It just, again, like I said to her, I don't condone it. I wouldn't co-sign it, but I understand quitting. I understand it because it gets to a point where you just, you know, you tired, man. You tired of the fight. You tired of the doors being slammed and being knocked down to the ground and having to get yourself up and dust yourself off. You get tired. And then you start to go, you rationalize in your head, well, if I settle, I do have this and I do have that. Do I really need this and that? I am comfortable. I can, and you know, that to me is the beginning of the end. So I'll take my licks and keep going till, you know, I'm in the upper room.
I mean, look, I think we all think about quitting and retiring. You know, I think about it from time to time. But then I take a step back and think, okay, I get up in the morning, you know, I do some titles, I do some research, but then my money is made talking to people who I enjoy talking to. And people I respect, comedians, actors, businessmen, professional athletes, producers, musicians. And I'm actually getting paid quite a bit of money to do this, as well as supporting a dozen people who work for my company. I could be working a 9 to 5, going to an office surrounded by people I hate, which is the reality for a lot of the world. Most people don't love their jobs. Most people can't wait for Mondays to get working. So I'm like, man, who am I to complain and think about quitting when I'm in a position that I dreamed about being in my whole life? Now I want to be like, oh, I'm going to quit.
Yeah, but see, that's the other side of it too. It's like when you take a step back and when you feel suffocated by the things that are going on around you and to you, then you might think irrationally. But once you get a moment to take a breath and put things back in perspective, then you start to go, dude, you know you do have it better than most. You know you are living your dream. You know you are doing things that most people dream about and could never do. You're ahead of the game.
Right.
You're winning. So, you know, take these lumps for now and then come out swinging on the next round.
The Joker Part 2 came out.
Uh-huh.
I haven't watched it yet, but you actually...
Boo!
It was that bad? You said it was a musical.
Musicals and men don't go together. That's not what we do. And if you're gonna make a musical and you want a man to watch, truly take a chance and maybe make a musical based on Empire in the Sun, which was a Broadway musical, and we might be open to entertaining something like that. But you're taking one of the most iconic superhero villains, which is man food type shit.
It was the most iconic superhero villain of all time.
Okay, even more so.
Joker is the biggest and most popular villain ever.
Bottom
from
line
comic books.
is, it's male demographic type shit. It falls in the category of like an action film. You don't take our shit and gay it up. Say that respectfully.
So you're saying the Joker 2 was gayed up?
Just come on, man. No, that's not what we're trying to watch. You know, especially when the first one was so phenomenal and dark and not a musical. The fuck are you doing?
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet. But
That's
I mean,
like, you know, I know.
But I heard such horrible reviews that I'm like, I'll just wait for it to come on demand.
I saw on Instagram where somebody was in the theater and they obviously had footage from their phone, but they wrote as a caption, "If these motherfuckers sing one more time, I'm out of here." That's like they tried to make, I don't know if they still have it, but Rocky the musical. Rocky is to men what 50 Shades of Grey was to women. You don't fuck with that. I don't want to go see, hey, yo, I knocked them out in the third round. The fuck are you doing? No, leave that alone.
Yeah, and actually the director, he tried to like cover it up afterwards, saying that like, this is not actually the Joker or something like that. He's not part of the DC universe or something, but it's like, it's the fucking Joker.
Listen, there's only 3 musicals I've liked, and all of which were when I was a kid. Grease, The Wiz, and Little Shop of Horrors. And I liked Grease because the opening titles were animated, so I thought it was a cartoon. I liked The Wiz for obvious reasons. Come on, man, Michael Jackson. And then Little Shop of Horrors, the plant came alive and started singing, which again, as a kid, that blew me away. But then that's where it stops.
I mean, Disney, a lot of Disney movies are technically musicals, like The Lion King, Moana.
Those are cartoons, those are animated.
Yes.
So
Well, although there is a CGI version of The Lion King.
I know,
on,
but those are cartoons. Those are geared for children.
Yeah. You think The Lion King was really geared for children? I think that was sort of something that could have gone into the adult realm as well. I think that was something that...
It was animated, right?
It was animated.
It's for children.
No, animated films are not just for children. There's adult animations.
We know what those are.
Well, no, there is The Simpsons. That's not made for children.
Yeah, but children watch that. That's family television.
Listen, try to watch The Simpsons with some 5-year-olds. You'll realize that this is not appropriate for kids. There's so much adult...
Are you talking about today's kids?
Yeah.
Today's kids are idiots. When I was coming up, The Simpsons was the shit.
I mean, let me think. Bob's Burgers, that's not really a kid's,
Listen, I'll take it further than that. When you go, there's animation not for kids.
Family Guy.
Nah, I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about those, I wish I could remember the name because we talked about it on my podcast, where literally the animation was adult shit happening.
South Park.
Titties showing, sexual innuendos. There was one about like this
heavy metal.
Oh God, I know some people watching this know what I'm talking about. It was around in the 70s and early 80s where the cartoon characters were like cats, human cats, and it got X-rated. Damn it, I wish I knew the name of it.
I mean, you
But
just...
they were big. They were like strong adult type, almost nudity X-rated cartoons.
Not sure. All I'm saying is The Simpsons is not a kid's show.
Not now, maybe, but it was when it came out.
Maybe in the very, very beginning.
No.
Rick and Morty.
A lot past the beginning.
It goes.
Listen. If you pick up the innuendos on SpongeBob, that's not a cartoon for kids.
Yeah, I feel you. So, what do you got coming up next?
Stand up on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People, when I announced this interview and was asking, for comments and so forth, a lot of people from the South are still mad at you over our last interview about how you don't perform in the South.
That's why I ain't going there, boy. Big shout out to my Southern brothers and sisters. I got love for the South. I respect my Southern brothers and sisters. Very nice people. That Southern hospitality thing is very true. Some of the best down-home soul food come out the South. Big shout out to the Gentlemen's Club in Atlanta. To me, the best strip club ever. I love the black women's booties built like horses. You know what I mean? They got horse ass and thighs. I love it. Comedically, it's not, I don't feel good in the South. I play chess. I don't play Hungry Hippos. They're a little bit, they're a step behind, man. You know what I mean? I'm New York. I'm from New York City. I'm Ray Gibson. How much it costs turn one of them white only pies and the nigga pies? Let's talk turkey. Like I'm a city boy. I'm fast paced. I'm you know what I mean? My tempo is up there. The South is, it's slow, man. It's slow. I just, that tempo for me is, I feel like I don't translate. And I have a lot of Southern niggas that be like, hey man, I fucks with you, man. I fucks with you, man. They fucks with me hard. But, when I'm performing, a lot of my shit is highbrow and witty and you gotta think a little bit. And I'm not good at Waffle House comedy. I serve filet mignons, man. And every now and then, I give you some fast food, but some of my shit is filet mignon, man.
Did you get any pushback based on those comments? Don't care.
Just the comments. Listen, I said before, I got love for the South. I don't have a problem with the South in terms of people, the hospitality. But I'm Ray Gibson. How much costs turn them nigga pies, whites only pies, and the nigga pies? I'm a city dude. I'm New York. You know what I mean? And the South, the culture, it's just different. It's slower. It's not as, so that don't, you know what I mean? That don't resonate with me.
Fair enough. People are still upset over
Of course they're gonna be upset. Everybody wanna be upset.
This is the age of rage.
I wasn't disrespectful.
Yeah.
I just said it's a different culture. It's a different energy.
Well, I just want to say this, and before we leave, rest in peace, DJ Clark Kent, who has died at the age of 57, I believe, from colon cancer. We've talked about this. You talked about it a lot about getting, screening, like the anal screening to make sure you don't have colon cancer and so forth. I've gotten it before, colonoscopy. I've gotten screened for cancers as well in my body. Be careful to all the men and women out there as you get into your 40s and 50s and 60s. Like, that future isn't promised to you. You got to take care of your health, man.
Yeah.
And, Clark Kent was a legend. I was always cool with him. He's come on my show multiple times. He's produced classic records for Jay-Z. He was a monolithic sneakerhead. I remember his thing at one point was like he never wore the same pair of sneakers twice for like a year.
Right.
Would have a new pair every day for a whole year.
What a luxury.
What a luxury. Well, a lot of the brands would send him sneakers and so forth.
What a luxury.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's always been a solid dude, man, and hip-hop definitely mourns the passing of DJ Clark Kent, man. But, like I always say, when people pass relatively young, I know a lot of the people, 57, that's old. 57 is not old. I'm 51. You're 49?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, man, 51 and 49 are not old.
Well, you look 68.
Who, me?
Yeah.
I look great. I look great.
That's that Russian blood.
I look great. I look great for 51.
Bloody Mary, but with real blood.
I am constantly having people shocked at my age when I'm out and about, man. I love it. But these are important lessons that we have to take where people pass. And, it wasn't like Clark Kent was doing drugs or he was, extremely obese or whatever else. Cancer, man, cancer is a hard thing when you get it, especially when you catch it too late. And I believe he had a 3-year battle with colon cancer, which ultimately took his life. And in those situations, if you can catch it early, you have a much, much, much higher chance.
Go get your booties checked, nigga.
Get your booties checked.
Stop all the homophobia.
Yeah.
Get your booties checked.
That's right. Me and Aries have done it. Look at us.
Yeah.
Straight as they go.
What do you do for your next one?
I don't know. I got to check. The last one came maybe about, maybe about 3-4 years ago.
Let's find out when we're due and we go together.
We'll go together?
We go together.
Do a double booty check?
Double booty check, baby. No Diddy. Take that. After the third take that, Diddy should appear back of me like a hologram and just be chest naked with baby oil doing the Harlem Shake.
So do gay people say yes, Diddy?
They say yes, daddy.
Yes, daddy. That's what it is, Aries Spears.
Hold
Till
up, I
next
gotta do
time.
my thing.
Oh, yeah, of course, the shout out.
Yo, the Spears and Steinberg podcast. DM me on my Instagrams. I'll send you the links. Available on all streaming platforms. My YouTube channel, Spearsberg Pod. Hit like and subscribe. Start from the beginning and go in order. I don't care if it's over 600 episodes. It's like masturbation and potato chips. Once you start, you can't stop. Binge it, baby.
That's what it is. Till next time. Peace.